Okay, hello, good afternoon. We'll be presenting on progressivism for class 2021 spring introduction to teaching profession. Our group members will include Janie Bautista, Rosy Rubio, Jasmine Izaguirre, and Ramiro Herrera. Progressivism takes its educational philosophy from the word progressive. Progressive education theory started in America in late 19th century and has continued to develop through the 21st century. Progressivism is an effect of traditional way of teaching. It's pedagogical movement that prefers the experience over the learning facts at the expense of understanding what will be learned. In other words, the teachers prefer to teach hands-on activities with children so that they can go ahead and learn by doing. Education comes from the philosophical and cultural experience of the students. Therefore, the more they experience hands-on, the better they will learn, according to the progressive theory. The creator was John Dewey. The main figure was John Dewey. He was father of progressive education. That's how he's known. John Dewey brought teachers out among the students and put the students and teachers together. He was a strong believer in the progressive movement. Our American philosopher was John Dewey. Dewey started progressive movement. He was an educator and an influential writer. Traditional school learning was unsuccessful according to him, where students would sit in rows and listen to the teachers give their lesson. They would end up forgetting mindless facts, according to him. So he would prefer the hands-on activities and hands-on learning rather than just paying attention to teachers talk during the day, during their teaching lessons. He prepared our students to be lifetime learners. And according to Dewey, the students should be our main focus. Dewey thought that learning should be a voyage of experience. Therefore, that's why he would prefer for the students to participate in asking questions, and that's the way that they would learn. John Dewey believed hands-on activities, and then from there he would go to the discussions, interactive, and interdisciplinary. The time in class should not be wasted according to him. Children should learn by doing. Once again, he would prefer the hands-on activities. And hands-on activities, the students learn better when they are actively engaged, taking notes and summarize about their activity. Whenever they would work on something, it was not just working on the activity, they would actually take down notes, and then at the end, they would discuss whatever they learned. That's where the discussion comes from. The children talk about their activities and they interact by sharing their ideas and opinions about the matter. The interactions is essential for the learning process. Students learn by experience. It allows students to build on what they already know. They strengthen their understanding and they link new knowledge with previous experiences. A good quote from Dewey was, "Education is not a preparation for life. Education is life itself." In order for students to learn, they must involve real problems and expressive questions. Books were tools. They were not meant for them to learn out of books. So that's why he would consider the problem solving and questioning, not to use the books. And then solve problems in a scientific way, hands-on, and students must develop their own theories. So they would conclude what would happen even before starting the activity, so that they could go ahead and use their mind and think to see if the outcome was correct. And they would participate in hands-on activity projects, learning, experimental learnings. They would group with the group work grows social skills, according to Dewey. Mike?
It should be Jasmine.
Okay.
In progressive, teachers are seen as facilitator, interacting with students, encouraging them to think outside the box and ask questions. Teachers are encouraged to use the Harkness method, conference method. Teachers sit with students at a round table to interact and discuss the subject with them. Students' education using the progressive method with students help them master important skills for when they pursue their career. Next. Activity buttons. Objective. Through this activity, the student will be expected to experiment with different types of materials to create buttons and with their skills, create a replica of planet Earth. The assignment will follow steps by steps process and the student would be divided into groups of either 2 or 4 to complete the assignment. The education of philosophy progressive will make the students of third grade level to develop under intelligence and skills. The purpose of these activities to grow in knowledge and also help in small groups to helping one another clarify their ideas. Next. The materials that students can use are plastic ball, button, white, blue, and green are the colors of the planet. They can use glue and pencil. And this is the activity they can use. You can see my planet Earth, green, yellow, and
Just,
white.
just give me, just give me 1 second. Give me 1 second, because it won't come out in the. I think we're gonna have to do it at the very end. Right now, it's just showing the PowerPoint.
All right. And yeah, I'm done.
All right, I'll take over from right here. So this would be the instructional information. Um, we would begin by handing the students their very own sphere, button, pencil, and glue. Um, Then we would give them a handout explaining the instructions with diagrams about the activity, but inform them that they will be listening to our commands. By listening to our commands, basically the handout will be there just so they can visualize what the activity would do with instructions and diagrams, as in pictures of the activities steps already for the future. So when we're explaining it to them, if they're confused about what we're saying or any words that we had explained, or they have the picture to follow through just in case. But then the sheet is just a visual tool in case they are confused about our commands, like how I had just explained right now. Then we'll have them pick up their phone sphere and try to shove their pencil down the middle, as close as the middle they can. So when they're actually gripping it, the sphere will be on top of the pencil. So it can be using the pencil as a handle. So, and that way, basically the sphere is going to be on top of the pencil. So when it comes to the next part, it will be easier for them to start sticking or, but as we begin to look around to verify if everything was done correctly, we'll begin to go to the next step. So as we go around visualizing to see everybody's okay, the foam is on top of the pencil, everybody is ready to move on, so we can have everyone in the same page, we'll move on to the next step. The next step, we will then have the students pick up their button and start visualizing where they will be gluing it on the phone sphere. We'll have them pretend if they were actually gluing the button without actually gluing the button. We would tell them, okay, so how do you think the earth would look? So then we would have them just place the sphere down a little bit on a flat surface. They would put the button on top to see, okay, this might be where the water's at, this might be where the land is at, and they will visualize in their own ways. Everyone's going to be different, to see their creativity on the way they are imagining the earth themselves. Once the students have an idea, they will then start putting glue on the buttons and sticking them onto the foam sphere and covering it up like the earth. I mean, so we would have them put the buttons down, place a little bit of glue, um, not too little because then the buttons will fall off easily from the foam. Then we would have them start placing it slowly, and start covering the sphere as much as they can. And they will be letting their wild imagination go. Once the students are done, they will have an item like the picture in the next slide. They would have an item like this. Students of the 3rd grade will demonstrate their experience using buttons for the planet Earth. This is kind of how the experiment will look at the end. I mean, everyone's gonna have their own way, but at the most part, it's gonna have this concept right here. Progressivism in education is an orientation of philosophy of education based on the assumption that all learning is active, that learning is intellectual, social, and emotional, and the curriculum should begin with the child's interests and experiences. Progressivism elevates shared interests and shared interaction between pupils and the classroom. Each person's voice is important, and one of the hallmarks of a progressive classroom is the emphasis of communication skills. There's a strong emphasis on critical thinking and problem solving with each lesson. Every student has their own way of experiencing things, communicating. So these lessons let them express themselves in so many ways. This with the Earth, each one's gonna have a different Earth because each one is thinking in a different way, but then they all have the same concept. It's gonna be an Earth at the end. But yeah.
Okay, this is our definition and goal. Progressivism is a theory of education that is concerned with learning by doing, and that children learn best when pursuing their own interests and satisfying their own needs. I don't know how to say that, sorry. Progress believe that people learn best from what they consider most relevant to their lives. Progressivists center curriculum on their needs, experiences, interests, and abilities of students. They also provokes curiosity in students. The goal of progressivism is for students to become intelligent problem solvers. Also, students will be socially aware citizens who are prepared to live. Sorry, hold up. Comfortably in the world. Can you switch slide, please? Okay. Instructional methods and classroom management. Can you see my face? I'm sorry. Design group assignments, give experiment-based projects, engage them in social activities by teaching them social, I'm sorry, responsibilities and democracy, relate day-to-day activities with real life. I'm sorry, hold on. Sorry, it's because I'm pregnant, so it's hard to breathe. Conclusion, key ideas.
In conclusion, we as a group, we learned that progressivism is a pedagogical movement that students learn from hands-on approach. Students should be our main focus in our classrooms. Students, they're a priority. Teachers should involve their students with real problems and allow them to solve the problems in a scientific way. We as teachers should be the students' enablers and encourage them to ask questions. Students also learn from one another while working in groups. The primarily role of student is to develop new and deeper understandings continuously through their own investigation, according to our book, Building Teachers, in page 48.
Okay, I'll read the last slide. As future teachers, we will use this information as future teachers, we plan to make our students our main focus. We will use the progressivism teaching theory for our students to grasp the pedagogical movement that prefers that experience. We will prepare our students to be lifelong learners by using the Harkness method. We would be able to work with our students and absorb if in case they need our assistance. And the last slide is our reference, and that concludes our presentation.
Not yet.
Oh, are you gonna show the activity?
Yes, let me see if I can
Okay.
switch it over back to the without sharing. All right, Jasmine.
Okay, here it is. Mm, here is the activity that I did. I did it with green, white, and blue. I just did like half of it in a pencil. So it's an example for the students that they can try to experiment, enhance activity, and that's it.
Well, we would like to thank everyone for listening to us today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.